Hey everyone, it's Tim from Linessa Farm Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining us again today. So we're doing kind of a two-part video series. This weekend and next weekend we're going to be talking about mental health. And I know that sounds kind of strange for a sheep and goat channel, but I think this pertains to any kind of livestock that you're getting into. So kind of stick with me today. I know you probably read the title of the video and you're thinking, man, this guy's a monster. Why would he say that? But the topic that we're going to talk about today is not rescuing animals. And why would I say that? Why would I say don't rescue animals? A lot of you are brand new. Maybe you're thinking about getting into sheep and goats. Maybe you haven't quite yet decided if you're going to get into sheep and goats. And maybe you're out there looking at prices and you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to go to the sale barn and I'm going to buy something there. I'm going to buy something as cheap as I can just to get started. Some of you are even considering that you want to rescue an animal. So to make things perfectly clear right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, do not ever buy a sick animal from anyone unless you are really, really good and you've been doing this for a long time and you have a good understanding on veterinary medicine and how to take care of animals. Starting off with a sick animal is going to be a disaster for you, and it's going to be a disaster for the animal. And why is this? Well, you're going to bring an animal that's sick back to your farm. You're setting up the chances of you getting your other animal sick. Plus, if you don't have a good handle on how to treat an animal, you are now going to be sinking money into veterinary bills. You're going to be going on places like forums, trying to find information. You more than likely won't even have the medications on hand that you need in order to take care of the animal. It is just bad news all around. Now, we see a lot of people make this mistake right off the bat. They say, oh, I'm going to rescue an animal. We rarely bring sick animals to our farm unless it's a situation where a friend of ours or someone that we co-op with has an animal that is sick that we think that we can help them out with. It's just easier for me to help them take care of it here than on their farm. I will make an exception and I will do that. However, I rarely will bring in a sick animal to my farm. I'm not talking about overgrown hooves. I'm not talking about an animal that may be a little on the skinny side, that there's nothing necessarily wrong with them. You just need to get them cleaned up a little bit and get them up to health. For those of you that are getting brand new and getting into animals, the best bang for your buck is going to be to spend a little bit more, go to a reputable farm, buy an animal from them. Ideally, that is younger, maybe a lamb or a goat kid. Bring it back and go through the growing phases with that animal and get a feel for if this is something that you want to do or if you don't. We don't want you getting a bad taste in your mouth right off the bat by getting a sick animal and bringing it back to your farm. Do not buy animals from the sale barn. You hear a lot of us talking about the sale barn, that we take animals to the sale barn, but for all of those famous YouTubers that you watch out there, when you hear them talking about culling animals, you will hear it over and over and over. I don't care if you're watching me or if you're watching any of the other channels, they will tell you, and they have told you because I've watched their channel and I've heard them, they do the same thing that we do. When they get ewes, when they get does, when they get bucks, whatever, that they have problems with, that either aren't producing or they're not doing what they need them to do, they take them to the sale barn. They are getting rid of them. They are culling them. Lambs and goat kids, not as big of a deal because a lot of times we're taking them to the sale barn that are going to be sold commercially for meat. However, we still go through the process of sorting out our lambs and our goat kids to determine which ones we think have the right genetics and which ones are going to perform in order to keep them on our farm. You may get lucky. You may go to the sale barn and you might just happen to pick up a goat or a ewe or a ram or a buck that there's nothing wrong with them, and just for no apparent reason whatsoever, maybe a farm is downsizing, maybe they need to cut down on numbers, something like that. They're taking really good production ewes and does or males to the sale barn, but that is rare and far and few between. For those of us that are selling livestock for breeding stock, the best bang for our buck is to sell it directly off the farm. We know when we take adults to the sale barn, we are going to get beat up on price. And the reason for that is when you take an adult to the sale barn, most of the buyers that know assume that there's something wrong with it, otherwise it wouldn't be there. Second thing I would tell you is be very cautious of who you are buying the animals from. When you have a large producer like ourselves or some of the other large producers in our area or across the United States, we have a reputation to uphold. I do not want to sell someone an animal off of my farm that they're going to have problems with, because they will go online and they will say, I bought this animal from Tim and it was junk, and I don't want that. I don't want to take the chance of selling an animal and having it hurt my reputation in the future as a seller. With that being said, if you're selling an animal just once and you're never going to see that person again, and this isn't normally what you do, sometimes people don't have that problem, and they do not have a problem with selling you an animal that there's something wrong with. So you need to be cautious. I will not buy an adult breeding animal from anyone unless I know that person really well, because I have been burned before, and I know a lot of you have been burned before as well. So that is another thing that I want you to keep in mind. Again, take the time, take the money, buy. And I'm not telling you you need to go out there and buy $1 million animal. I'm just telling you you need to invest a little bit more money to get something healthy, and ideally you want to get something that's younger if you're getting started. We spend a lot of time on YouTube and on social media where people are talking about money. I want to raise animals to make $1 million. I want to do this to make money. I understand that a lot of you are not in this to make money. You're in this because you enjoy it. It's fun. It's good for your mental health. You want to get out. You want to enjoy the companionship of having an animal. I get that. I dig that. That's super cool. Buying a sick animal, buying something that you're going to have problems with is definitely not the way for you to go. For those of you that have experienced this before, please take the time to leave a comment below to help us get this point across. Maybe tell us about some experiences that you've had and share it with our other viewers. The last thing that I would tell you is you need to be really cautious when you're purchasing animals that have been shown. They've taken them to the fair, they've shown them, and now show season is over with. Most of these animals are going to go to the sale barn. Every once in a while you may have an animal that has been shown that is offered to you to buy. I'm not telling you not to buy them. What I'm telling you is you need to be very cautious. When it comes to show stock, a lot of times you will look at that animal and you will say, man, this animal looks fantastic. It's true. They look fantastic because they've been raised and exercised and they've been fed out for show. You need to ask the individual that you're buying the animal from, how are you feeding this animal? What is this animal used to? How are you taking care of it? Because what'll happen a lot of times is you'll take an animal that's lived in a 4 foot by 4 foot pen its entire life, has been hand-fed grain every day, wormed, given medications and everything else, bring them home to your farm and throw them out in dry lot or throw them out in pasture and expect them to produce for you, and they are going to fall apart. We appreciate everybody watching today. If you have any comments or anything you can put in this to help some of our new folks out, I would encourage you to do so. I'm Tim from Linessa Farm Specialty and Heirloom Livestock. Thanks for joining me again today, and I look forward to seeing all of you again next time.